Welcome back to the podcast, everyone. Today, we're diving into the fascinating world of software development and open source contributions, particularly through the lens of building and deploying applications with Rust and the Solana blockchain. So let's start with Rust. What's the deal with that? Rust is this incredibly powerful programming language known for its performance and safety. It's become the go-to choice for many developers, especially when working with complex systems like Solana. But before you can start coding, you'll need to get a few essentials up and running. First things first. To build with Rust, you'll need to install rustc, cargo, and rustfmt. It's as easy as running a command in your terminal. Just imagine kicking off a project that you've been excited about with just a single line of code. If you're wondering about the installation process, it involves a simple command that you can execute to set everything up. Isn't that nice? Now, if you're someone who enjoys working with specific release branches or master branches, it's important to make sure you're on the latest stable Rust version. So, regular version checks are key to avoiding compatibility issues. The Rust community is proactive about updates, but it can sometimes feel like a never-ending game of catch-up if you're not on your toes. Another layer to consider is that if you're using Linux, there are some additional packages you'll have to install. Trust me, it's worth it to have the right tools ready, especially with libraries like libssldev or pkgconfig. You wouldn't want to get halfway into development only to find that something you need just isn't there. After all your tools are ready, you'll get to download the source code from GitHub. And here's where the magic begins. You'll find yourself inside the Solana directory, ready to build and run tests. What's really exciting is the ability to start a local testnet. It's like setting up your mini universe where you can test things out without the pressure of impacting anything live. Speaking of testing, let's talk about benchmarks. There's a special command in Rust that requires using the nightly build, which means you get access to unstable features that really push the limits of what you can do. It's a bit like experimenting with an advanced recipe in cooking. Sometimes it works out perfectly, and other times, well, you might end up with a minor culinary disaster. What I find really interesting, though, is the emphasis on code coverage. It's not just about making sure everything works. It's also seen as a productivity metric. It tells you how well your tests protect the solutions you create. Think of it as a safety net, making sure that as you adjust one part of your code, nothing else falls apart unexpectedly. Now, here's where things can get a little philosophical. When you encounter a problem in the code, often there's a line of code that answers a particular question or challenge. If you ever find yourself scratching your head about why a segment is there, just try running your unit tests after deleting it. If something breaks, you've just uncovered a hidden purpose. It's like detective work for developers. And here's a nugget for you. If you realize a certain line isn't needed anymore or can be improved, don't hesitate to send in a pull request. It's all about collaboration in open source. You're not just coding in isolation. You're part of a community that thrives on shared growth and improvement. Before we wrap up today, I want to touch briefly on the disclaimer related to this development process. It's essential for all tech enthusiasts to understand the legal landscape. The folks at solana-labs emphasize the importance of abiding by laws and regulations, especially regarding export control and sanctions. It's a critical reminder that as we innovate, we also need to navigate responsibly. So as we sign off today, I encourage you to dive deeper into Rust and into T